The only public failure had been with Jasmine. He'd once played his guitar under her window until 11 at night, breaking a string, but she never even appeared. It seemed he was better prepared this time. Trevor approached the stage, the heat in his eyes slowly transforming into sincerity. He was already preparing the tears he would shed. But just then, a figure shot past him like a whirlwind and stopped right in front of Jasmine, handing her a single flower. The entire stadium fell silent. No music, no screams, no whistles. Who was that? Who would dare approach Jasmine with just one flower? Did he not fear her infamous wrath? He couldn't even be bothered to bring a proper bouquet. He had to be some clueless freshman who didn't know any better. The students' gazes flickered back and forth between Trevor and the clueless freshman, eagerly anticipating the drama. One thing was certain. This guy was going to get brutally shot down. His lack of effort was insulting. The guys in the crowd smiled, ready for a fight. The university officials watched with expressions ranging from amusement to curiosity, but none of them intervened. This was college, after all. Romance was one of the main subjects. In the stands, a group of 4 young people, 3 of whom had once visited Linden Creek, watched the scene unfold. They all recognized Cole and were grinning, eager to see what would happen next. Faced with a choice between the white knight and the boy next door, who would Jasmine choose? While the students and faculty were lost in their own thoughts, Jasmine herself was momentarily stunned, unsure what was happening. Then, in a split second, she caught sight of Trevor out of the corner of her eye, a conspicuous figure in all white. She immediately understood her brother's intention. Cole's eyes were burning with a competitive fire, mixed with a tiny bit of apprehension. What if she doesn't take it? That would be so embarrassing. The other dancers, including Alex, watched with bewildered expressions. The next second, no, the next half second, Jasmine shot her brother a playful glare and took the slightly crooked carnation from his hand. "You idiot," she scolded in a whisper. "Did you really think I would accept flowers from someone else? I'm going to kill you." She said she was going to kill him, but her eyes were shining with a deep, unmistakable joy. Cole grinned, his apprehension vanishing. Jasmine always had his back. He leaned in and said cheekily, "We can fight at home, sis. Any way you want. We can fight lying down, sitting up." Ouch. Before he could finish, a hand latched onto his side and twisted. "You're disgusting," Jasmine hissed. Her face flushed as she pinched a roll of flesh and gave it a hard turn. Behind them, Alex and the other dancers were speechless. They were still on stage, and these two were already acting like this. A strange atmosphere settled over the crowd. Jasmine could be like this. A few scattered whoops and whistles broke the silence. Trevor, who had been standing frozen for a long moment, felt the blood drain from his face. He could read Jasmine's expression perfectly. It was the look of someone whose heart and soul belonged to one person. He'd seen it before in his conquests, but he'd never seen that particular blend of scolding and adoration. He was trapped. Too many people were watching. Turning back now would be a complete loss of face. He forced a smile and stepped forward, his eyes filled with 4 parts infatuation, 5 parts sincerity, and 1 part stubbornness. "Jasmine, may I ask for a chance at fair competition?" "No need," Jasmine said. "Dream on," Cole said. They spoke in perfect unison. The words struck Trevor like 2 bolts of lightning. He, the golden boy of the Eastwood Tech School of Arts, had never been so humiliated. Anger churned within him, but he forced a grand, passionate tone. "I am single. Pursuing Jasmine is my right. Is there something wrong with that? Isn't your behavior a little lacking in basic courtesy?" "Cole, let's go," Jasmine said, turning to him with a sweet, enchanting smile as she looped her arm through his. "Okay, sis." Cole grinned, surreptitiously stroking the smooth hand tucked in his arm. They completely ignored the man in white and walked straight toward the backstage exit. A ghostly silence fell over the stadium. Trevor was left standing there, frozen. He knew the legends about Jasmine. Though his previous serenade had failed, he had believed that if he just seized the right opportunity, the Ice Queen would be his for the taking. If Jasmine had thrown a tantrum at this new guy, it would have been fine. It would have only highlighted his own class. But this utter dismissal completely destroyed his defenses and shattered his pride. Shame and rage burned inside him, but he couldn't let it show in front of so many people. He had to maintain his image. He stretched his lips into a smile and gave a casual shrug. Whatever. He wanted to theatrically throw the flowers to the ground, but then thought better of it. They were still useful. He turned and walked away, a forced, carefree smile plastered on his face to hide the twitching muscles of his jaw. Cole's eyes narrowed. The world was full of dangers. His sister was too beautiful. It was a good thing he'd come today. A fragrant breeze hit his face as Jasmine planted a quick kiss on his cheek. "Let's go quick," she whispered. "We're holding up the show." Cole glanced at her, squeezing her hand. His heart was full and warm. "Okay, sis." At a signal from one of the university officials, the host had already returned to the stage. As soon as he spoke, the stadium erupted in thunderous applause, mixed with wild screams and shouts. There were the guys who had long despised Trevor. There were the girls he had hurt, now shouting themselves hoarse. And there were the countless others, boys and girls, who were filled with envy. Who didn't want a partner who would cherish them like that? As they walked toward the backstage area, Cole initially maintained a calm demeanor. But as they went on, he couldn't help himself. He started grinning and waving at the audience like he'd just won an Olympic gold medal. Having survived countless company talent shows and sales pitches, Cole found a scene full of college kids to be child's play. Shamelessness was a prerequisite for any elite salesman. He'd danced terribly on stage before, shaking his butt without a care. It was like eating cilantro. At first, the taste is off-putting, but after a few bites, you can't stop. As for dignity, Cole had no idea what that was. Jasmine's face remained a constant, rosy blush. She kept pinching his side as they walked, but it was no use. He continued his victory lap. If Trevor hadn't said anything and had just retreated, she wouldn't have been so blunt. But he had challenged Cole, and that was something she would never allow. She could see right through his intentions, his rhetorical tricks. He was like a rat dropping, trying to spoil the soup. How could she tolerate that? Once the jazz dance performance was over, the team was free to go. Jasmine and Cole remained attached at the hip, leaving Alex to just shrug and head back to her dorm alone. Outside the stadium, students milled about in small groups. Some had come out for fresh air, others had never gone in, content to chat outside. Many of them noticed Jasmine and Cole as they emerged, their eyes filled with curiosity. The upperclassmen all recognized the famously beautiful dragon lady, while the freshmen were simply struck by the stunning girl and her companion. Neither of them cared about the attention. Jasmine's hand was held tightly in Cole's, and he was constantly kneading and playing with her fingers. She would occasionally glance at his profile, her heart filled with a mixture of shyness, joy, and a deep sense of security. Normally, if he played with her hand like this, she would have scolded him. But tonight, she couldn't bring herself to. "Cole, what's gotten into you tonight?" she asked curiously. "You were acting like a maniac." "How could I not? I can't stand the thought of someone else giving you flowers. It's a miracle I didn't turn into a rabid dog." "Woof woof," Cole said, jutting out his chin with a possessive, childish pout, even adding a couple of barks for effect. The blatant ownership in his eyes filled Jasmine's heart to the brim. She shot him a glare. "You're so domineering. So, now that there are no rivals, you're just going to bully your sister every day, is that it?" The moment the words left her mouth, she realized her mistake. She had just given him a green light. As she tensed, sure enough, Cole turned to look at her, his eyes practically burning a hole through her. A wave of pure heat shot to Cole's head. The hormones in his body ignited instantly, a molten lava of desire flooding his veins. He swallowed hard, switched their hands so his left was holding hers, and wrapped his free right arm around her slim waist. The smooth, soft feel of her skin under his palm was like a bellows, fanning the flames even higher. With a gentle pull, he pressed the sides of their bodies tightly together. The sharp pain that immediately followed at his waist managed to momentarily halt his train of thought. "You fiend! Are you trying to kill me?" Jasmine hissed in a low, urgent whisper. "What do you think you're doing? It's broad daylight. There are people everywhere." She was frantic. She knew exactly what was in his eyes. But they couldn't do it here, even if... Ugh, what am I thinking? Jasmine knew she couldn't blame him entirely. She was the one who had opened her big mouth. The interruption brought Cole back to his senses. It wasn't that he was about to commit a crime on the spot. He was just overexcited, too invested, and the feeling was incredible. He glanced down at the ground, his line of sight now somewhat obstructed. This was a little awkward. Thankfully, it was dark, and the streetlights were spaced out. No one was looking at his crotch, right? Following his gaze, Jasmine's face turned scarlet. She let out a soft TSK, and then pinched the soft flesh at his waist with all her might. "You pervert," she hissed. "I'm going to pinch you to death. Is that all you ever think about?" They tacitly moved a little further into the shadows, away from the direct glare of a streetlight. The bored students along the path merely glanced at them with envy and curiosity, not noticing anything strange. Who would be weird enough to stare at something like that? Actually, someone was. Among a trio of girls standing nearby, a short-haired girl with a unique talent for observation noticed something was amiss. She whispered to her two friends, and the three of them immediately focused their attention, then burst out laughing. A moment later, they stopped. It was too painful. What were a bunch of single girls laughing at? In the shadows of the streetlight, Cole's hand continued its mischief at her waist. Jasmine was both flustered and frantic, but she couldn't break free. And strangely, she didn't really want to. She sighed inwardly. Fine, I'll let him have his way today. He's impossible. They walked in a state of silent, charged intimacy for some time, eventually finding themselves near the North Campus. The whole time, Cole fought the urge to be more adventurous, to rediscover the magnificent landscapes of her body. But he decided to just cherish the happiness of the present moment. The food court was already visible in the distance, bustling with evening activity. Are you hungry? Want to get a bite to eat? Jasmine asked, her face red, hoping to sacrifice herself for a brief respite. Maybe if the pervert was eating, he'd let go of her for a minute. She couldn't take much more of this. Sure, let's go see what they have, Cole said. He was actually a little hungry. After all, that kind of sustained energy burst, that constant. Looking up at the moon, it burned calories. They walked into the food court and saw the new, unlit tea alchemist location. The spot was perfect. Cole gave his luck a mental high five. They bought a basket of shumai and a cup of multigrain congee, and he finally released her. Jasmine immediately drew a lot of attention. Feeling like he was getting the short end of the stick, Cole pulled her back out of the food court. They ate as they walked slowly. The hassle of a new shop brought something else to mind. All the tedious paperwork for the business license. Now that he'd incorporated the Tea Alchemist, he had to transfer the old shop's license from a sole proprietorship to the corporation. The new shop needed its own food service and health permits. It was going to be too much for him to handle alone. What are you thinking about, Cole? Jasmine immediately noticed he was lost in thought. Oh, I was just thinking. It was then that Cole suddenly remembered. Wasn't Jasmine a business administration major? That included administrative management. She was studying it so she could take over her family's business when her father and his mother got older. But they weren't old yet, right? She could help him out. A brilliant idea lit up his mind. Sis, come with me. Cole pulled her back toward the food court. Jasmine followed, curious to see what he wanted to say. Inside, Cole pointed at the half-renovated Tea Alchemist. Sis, I opened this. Huh, Jasmine said, her mouth half full of shumai, her expression completely baffled. I said this shop, Cole repeated, puffing out his chest, waiting for his sister's praise. I opened it. Chewing, Jasmine mumbled. What are you talking about? The spots here are impossible to get. Even if I gave you the money, you wouldn't be able to secure one. The words were both touching and infuriating to Cole. It really is mine. You don't believe me. He quickly reconsidered. Of course she didn't believe him. Anyone else might have, but his own sister knew he didn't have that kind of capital. I don't. If you really wanted to open a shop, you'd have to spend a lot of time searching for a location. The shops around here are almost never for sale. But if one does become available, I'll give you the money, Jasmine said, taking a sip of congee. She added, but you're only a freshman. Your studies are important. You could take your time with making money. There's no rush, and it's not like you need to. A current of warmth surged through Cole's heart. He was truly touched. This was his sister. She didn't believe him, but her first instinct was to offer him the money. Seeing his stunned expression, Jasmine worried she'd hurt his pride. She wrapped her arms around his waist. Her eyes were full of tenderness as she spoke softly, as if cooing to a child. If you want to open one, we'll open one, okay? You have a good eye, and a shop here would definitely make money. Actually, I wanted to open one too. Starting tomorrow, let's look for a good spot together, okay? The warm current in his heart became a torrential flood, washing over him and leaving him feeling completely overwhelmed. His heart began to tremble. Sis, let's talk outside, Cole said, his voice thick with emotion. He fought back the stinging in his eyes and put his arm around her, leading her away. Jasmine followed gently, glancing at him from time to time with a look of self-reproach. They walked 40 or 50 yards away to a less crowded spot. Cole stopped and pulled her into a tight embrace. Jasmine let out a soft cry of surprise at the sudden closeness. Feeling his breath on her neck and the powerful arms around her waist, she wrapped her own arms around his back, clasping her hands tightly. She rested her chin on his shoulder and gently rubbed her cheek against his ear. What's wrong? I just wanted to hug you. Go ahead. I'll let you today. What about tomorrow? That depends on your behavior. Sis, you're the best. You're just now realizing that? Hey, your hand. I'm going to hit you. What's wrong with my hand? Behave. All right. Sis, what if that shop really is mine? Will you promise me one thing? Jasmine paused. Was Cole serious? Why was he making this bet? Tell me what it is. I want to touch. Cole whispered a few words into her ear. I'm going to bite you. Jasmine's face went crimson, and she bit down hard on his shoulder. Ow, ow, ow. Cole yelped, his face contorted in pain. Jasmine bit down for a moment, let go, then bit a different spot. Whoa, sis, that really hurts. Cole swallowed the words. Are you part dog? That would have only earned him another bite. A comical thought flashed through his mind. If his sister ever became a vampire, he would definitely be her first victim. After biting him in several more places, Jasmine finally released him, her face flushed and her expression satisfied. She huffed. Fine. If you can prove that shop is yours, I'll agree to it. It wasn't like guessing a test score. How could he possibly fake owning a shop? She'd humor him. It was impossible anyway. Cole winced, sucking in a sharp breath through his teeth and rubbing his throbbing shoulder. You said it. No takebacks. No takebacks, Jasmine replied firmly. A triumphant grin spread across Cole's face. Hith. Peach Mountain is about to fall into my hands. When they finally separated, Cole's shoulder was covered in her saliva and several distinct teeth marks. He was suddenly reminded of his childhood. Whenever he had tried to nurse from her as a baby, she would bite him. Sometimes she would even gnaw on his arm or shoulder while he was sleeping. Had she developed the habit back then? Jasmine linked her arm through his, and they wandered aimlessly around the Eastwood Tech campus for a long time. It was past 10 when he finally walked her back to her dorm. Jasmine's roommates, Wendy and Beth, were both in their 4-person room. They hadn't had a chance to go out with her since their trip to North Lake. When he looked at her with a strange expression, Hey, Jasmine, was that your boyfriend tonight? They had already heard all about what happened at the showcase, but they didn't know it was Cole. News about Jasmine was always worth at least a free meal. My brother, Jasmine said coolly, glancing at Wendy. She would have no other brother, no boyfriend, no husband. Calling him her brother wasn't a lie. Huh, your brother? The one from North Lake. Beth's eyes widened. She could barely remember what that brother looked like. How many do you think I have? I only have one brother, and I will only ever have one, Jasmine said without looking up. She knew these two frequently sold gossip about her, but she had no proof. Oh, so it was your brother. We thought it was your boyfriend, Wendy said, feigning enlightenment while inwardly celebrating. This piece of news could be sold again. Everyone's saying you got swept off your feet by a single flower, huh? Beth said jokingly. Jasmine just smiled without a word. If she was willing, and if it was Cole, and if he had the courage and the heart, it wouldn't have mattered if it was a crooked carnation or a blade of grass. Was that important? Not in the slightest. She took her pajamas and went into the bathroom. As she took off her shirt and looked in the mirror, she saw the faint red marks on her waist where his hand had gripped her so tightly. Her face instantly flushed a deep, mortifying red. That wicked, wicked boy. He was absolutely incorrigible. At Eastwood University, when Cole returned to his dorm, Frank greeted him enthusiastically. Cole, there's something only you can help me with. What's up? Spit it out. Cole was in a good mood. If he could help, he would. It's not a big deal, but I met this girl, and I'm taking her to the Tea Alchemist tomorrow evening, so... Frank's usually stoic face broke into a shy grin that looked deeply unsettling. Whoa, do be normal. I'm not her. Cole shielded his eyes. It was too much to take. He understood what Frank wanted. He winked. You need the shop to play along, right? Yes. I knew you'd get it, old buddy. Frank clapped him on the shoulder, grinning from ear to ear. All right, I'll give the girls a heads up. Just say you're Frank, and it's on the house. But only this once, okay? Frank was ecstatic. That was exactly what he needed. Lying on his bed, Preston snorted, his voice dripping with acid. A free drink. Is that all it takes to buy you, Frank? It's not like it costs that much. You don't get it. It's not about the money, Frank said with a cryptic smile, his pinky finger finding its way inexorably toward his nostril. This has a much bigger purpose. Cole subtly edged away. Purpose? Fine. I'll go with you tomorrow. I've got to see this for myself. Preston shot up from his bunk. What are you going for? Hey. Frank's face soured as he flicked his finger, dislodging a minuscule black speck that arced through the air. Why was everyone trying to be a third wheel? Cole's eyes widened for a split second, then relaxed when he saw where it landed. A series of sharp pings echoed from his desk. Facebook Messenger. Cole sat down and opened the chat. It was from a contact named Quietly Me. Luna. So many customers tonight. Cole smiled and typed back. My Lou is working hard. She replied instantly. Not hard at all. I have the money with me. Are you coming to the shop tomorrow? Cole, ever the smooth operator, instinctively typed, Why? Miss me already? He paused, thought better of it, and deleted the message. He sent a new one. I'll be there tomorrow. Luna. Okay. You need to make the bank deposit, and we also need to get more small bills for change. Cole sent back an okay. Luna. I'm going to sleep then. Good night. Cole, good night, my little Luna. Thinking of Luna made him think of her major. He couldn't have her missing classes on his account. She was going to be their future CFO. Her education was critical. Starting tomorrow, he'd have her come in only when she didn't have class. Evenings and weekends were fine, and she could take days off whenever she wanted. The next morning, Cole sat through his first 2 classes. The professor stared at him, stone-faced, while taking attendance, an expression that clearly said he'd rather not see Cole at all. Cole could only offer a sheepish grin. He really needed to hire more people so he could focus on his own coursework for a while. Flunking out after all this would be the ultimate embarrassment. It was already 11 when he got to the Tea Alchemist. Luna was there. He pulled her into the stockroom to lay down a new rule. Classes were mandatory. But I'm worried the shop will be too busy, she said, looking a little down. I'll hire more people. Seeing her disappointment, Cole gently patted her on the head. It was becoming a habit. Her hair was so soft and smooth, his hand felt strangely empty if he didn't. You're the one who's going to be counting the money for our little empire someday. Your major has to be rock solid. Just coming in at night is fine. Hearing him talk about our little empire, Luna's cheeks flushed. She glanced up at him, her eyes meeting his for a split second before she quickly looked down again. Okay, she whispered. I'll work hard on my classes. Good. That's my girl, Cole said with a satisfied smile. He then remembered his plan to buy her clothes and blurted out, Oh, right as you're. He cut himself off. He'd almost asked if her period was over. What kind of creep says that? But the weather was warming up again. From his experience with Rockford's climate, he figured they had another week or so before the cold truly set in. Her cycle was probably over. After making the bank deposit, he took a freshly printed now hiring flyer over to the food truck alley near Eastwood Tech. He taped it to the window of the new, still under construction shop, specifying that applicants had to be sophomores or older or recent graduates. It was a necessary precaution. He needed staff who could work consistently. Once things were stable, he could consider hiring freshmen for hourly shifts. He left the salary off the flyer. There were certain campus norms he had to follow to avoid sticking out as a target. The renovation was moving fast since it only consisted of a work counter and a stockroom. Unfortunately, he still had to wait for the business license. This location was too high profile to risk getting shut down over a minor compliance issue. He'd rather open a few days late than get flagged. With that done, he rushed back to the original shop, a heavy bag of coins and small bills clutched in his arms. To his surprise, the hiring process for the new location was swift. He'd only been back a short while before his phone rang. He scheduled one interview for the morning and another for the afternoon, asking Megan to sit in to establish her authority from the start. Megan was his choice for the new shop's manager, which came with a $2 an hour raise. Her hours would increase to a standard 8-hour shift, and she'd have to cover for other employees on their days off. At $17 an hour, Megan declared she would gladly bleed for her boss. This made Brianna incredibly jealous, though she understood. As a freshman, she wasn't ready to be a manager. The older, larger shop was given to Wendy with the same pay rate. With cash on hand, Cole's expansion was moving at a breakneck pace. As for Luna, no one worried about her salary. The way the boss treated her was beyond words. Just after the evening dinner rush, Frank showed up at the shop with a girl in tow. She was quiet and shy, maybe a 5 out of 10 by current standards, but Cole figured with the right filters in a few years, she'd be a solid 9. The moment he saw Frank, Cole slipped into the back. Some things were better handled by his staff. Welcome to the Tea Alchemist. What can I get for you? Wendy asked with a professional smile. Oh, I'm friends with your boss, Cole. A really good friend. Actually, is he around? Frank said, trying to sound casual. He's not here, but he told us that if a Mr. Frank comes by, everything is on house. Please, order whatever you like. Wendy had been prepped for this, knowing she was helping her boss's roommate put on a show. Oh, my buddy is too much. This is almost embarrassing, Frank said, turning to the girl with a helpless smile. He silently gave Cole a mental thumbs up, soaking in the curious and envious glances from around the shop and the girl's shy, admiring gaze. He felt like he was floating on air. Showing off like this felt damn good. Puffing out his chest, he said, See anything you like? It's my buddy's place, so don't hold back. The girl looked from Frank to the menu, finally settling on a coconut pearl tea. Frank ordered a pudding taro milk tea. When they had arrived, they'd been standing a yard apart. As they left, their shoulders were practically brushing, bumping occasionally. It's working. Peeking from the doorway, Cole grinned. Looks like Frank was about to escape Singledom. Someone was going to be salty about this. At 8 o'clock, Cole grabbed a file folder and left. In the back room, Luna's eyes were full of melancholy as she watched him go. Tonight, it was Brianna helping her count the cash again. She bit her lip, a conflicted expression on her face, as if she were wrestling with a difficult decision. 20 minutes later, Cole met up with Jasmine, who was wearing a dress with a light jacket. He had two goals for the evening. First, to prove the new shop was his, and second, to ask his sis for a favor. "Sis, I'm taking you somewhere," Cole said with a mysterious grin, grabbing her hand and leading her away. Jasmine didn't object. They bought some tacos from a street vendor and strolled along the bustling avenue, eating as they walked, slowly making their way to the Golden Bay residences. The apartment complex was a bit of a walk from Eastwood Tech, with the entire Eastwood University campus in between. When Cole started heading into the complex, Jasmine grew curious. "Cole, what are we doing in here?" "Just follow me," he said, smiling. Though puzzled, Jasmine followed her little brother. When Cole pulled out a key and unlocked the brand new lock on one of the doors, she was completely bewildered. When did he rent an apartment? And why? Wasn't that a waste of money? She stepped inside and gasped. The place was decently renovated, a spacious 3-bedroom with windows on both the north and south walls. "Cole, did you rent this?" Jasmine's expression started to harden with a hint of anger. Why would he waste money like this? And where did he even get the cash to rent such a large place? Her mom would never have given him that much. "This is ours. I bought it," Cole declared, collapsing comfortably onto the sofa and tossing the file folder onto the coffee table. He didn't get the astonished reaction he was expecting. Instead, he was met with Jasmine's stern, unsmiling face. "Explain. Now," she demanded, her expression shifting from stern to angry. This wasn't going well. His attempt to look impressive had clearly backfired. He sat up straight, picked up the folder with a slightly wounded look, and handed it to her. "I really did buy it. You don't believe me at all." On second thought, he understood. If this were Serena, she would have been shocked. But not Jasmine. She knew his background inside and out. She was too sharp, too rational to believe it so easily. Still, he'd wanted a taste of that satisfying reveal. It seemed he wasn't going to get it. Jasmine didn't even sit down. She opened the folder and meticulously examined each document, her brow furrowed and her expression shifting through a mix of surprise and confusion. But there was no delight. After a long while, her face settled into a calm mask. "First," she began, "this is just a power of attorney. I can interpret this as someone entrusting you to handle the sale of their property. Second, being the legal representative of a business doesn't make you the owner. In fact, it just means you're on the hook. If something goes wrong and the real owners skip town, you're the one who takes the fall." She was in fact quite stunned. The business license application confirmed that the shop under renovation was legally registered to him. He also had another application for the original tea shop and, unbelievably, a third for a corporation. But the apartment? A power of attorney proved nothing. It was too difficult for her to believe he had accomplished all this legitimately. She was afraid he was being scammed. "Tell me what's really going on," she said, her voice softening. "I won't get mad, and I won't hit you. We just need to figure this out and fix it." Anyone else would have been convinced by the paperwork. Seeing Jasmine's serious demeanor, Cole finally realized his grand performance was a complete flop. He had to be straight with her. He understood she wasn't angry at him, but worried for him. Only real family would react this way. But he had no other proof. Was he supposed to drag her to the bank to see his account? Thinking of the bank, a lightning bolt struck his mind. Crap, how could I forget? Shortly after the college entrance exams in 2010, the banks had released their first mobile banking apps for Android. He had downloaded it, but had gotten so used to transferring funds on his computer that he'd completely forgotten about it. He pulled out his phone, found the banking app, and entered his password. The main page loaded. He handed the phone to her. "Here, I really did buy it." Jasmine took the phone, her gaze calm. When she saw the balance, her eyes flickered, but her expression didn't change to joy. If anything, it grew heavier. She tapped into the transaction history, scrolling through each entry. It was only when she saw the earliest deposits that her face finally began to relax. Cole waited, his heart pounding. The fact that seeing the money made her more worried, not less, meant she was questioning its source. It was proof that her attitude toward him wouldn't change based on how much money he had. Her primary concern was his safety. When he saw her expression soften, he knew she must have seen the sports betting payout. Suddenly, a new terror seized him. Oh God, what if she checks my Facebook Messenger? The chat logs with Serena. Now was definitely not the time for her to see those. Though panic was rising in his chest, his face remained as placid as a Zen master's. His fear was unfounded. Jasmine didn't open any other apps. She placed the phone on the coffee table and simply looked at him with an unreadable expression. "Do you believe me now?" Cole asked, a wave of relief washing over him. Jasmine didn't speak. She walked over and sat down next to him, her gaze softening. Was it all from the World Cup winnings? Yeah, all of it. I got lucky, Cole said with a smile, trying to look like a brave soldier who had just endured a great injustice. Jasmine gently stroked his hair, her eyes full of apology. I'm sorry. My attitude earlier. I wasn't very nice. Did I hurt your feelings? A little, Cole said, taking a deep breath as if swallowing back tears. He then buried his face in her lap, feeling utterly wrong. Wow, so soft. And it smells so good, he thought, secretly winking to himself, to rest his head on a beauty's lap. What more could a man ask for? I was just so afraid you were being scammed, Jasmine continued, her fingers gently combing through his hair, completely unaware of the liberties his head was taking. When I saw all that money before I saw the betting slips, I thought. You thought what? Cole asked instinctively. I thought you'd found a sugar mama, she said, giving his head a light tap. The thought had made her incredibly, intensely angry. I don't have those skills. I'm not that handsome, he grumbled, while his hand, which had been resting on the sofa, began a stealthy migration. Where it was going, nobody knew, but I think you're very handsome, Jasmine said, looking down and playing with his hair like a mother baboon grooming her child. If there were a sugar mama, she'd definitely like someone like you. Aren't you my sugar mama? Cole cheekily inhaled her scent, which was mixed with something else, something uniquely her. Jasmine was indeed a rich girl. Her family's company cleared hundreds of thousands in profit a year, which was a fortune for their small town in 2010. All you think about is sugar mamas. Hey, your hand. Jasmine was mid-sentence when a ticklish, unfamiliar sensation finally broke through her thoughts. You little devil, get up right now. Her face was beet red as she forgot all about the sugar mama conversation and started tugging at his hair. Seizing the opportunity, while she was distracted, Cole wrapped his arms around her and pulled, toppling them both onto the sofa. Jasmine yelped as she fell on top of him, momentarily unable to get up. Wow, what are you doing? A deal's a deal. It's time to collect my reward, Cole said shamelessly, holding her tight. The reward he had in mind was one he'd been thinking about for a long time. No, Jasmine cried, mortified, struggling in vain. Their faces were inches apart, their bodies pressed together, heat radiating between them. Though no words were spoken, they both knew the score. It was a game they were both playing, a dance they both knew the steps to. He knew she doted on him. She knew he knew it. The silence was their understanding, her protests and shoves just a coy ritual, waiting for him to take the lead. He gently kissed her neck. The familiar scent flooded his senses, sending a jolt through his entire nervous system. Suddenly, a sharp pain erupted on his shoulder. Jasmine had bitten down hard. Bite me to death for all I care, he thought, surrendering completely. Oh no, we can't. I'm about my period. Jasmine released his shoulder and cried out, her voice husky and filled with a desperate plea. If you don't let go, it's going to stain my dress. Hurry. Jasmine's breath was ragged as she whispered against his ear, the hot air tickling him. All right, Cole conceded, letting go with painful reluctance. If she had a leak, there was nothing here for her to change into. Jasmine didn't get up right away. She lay on top of him, catching her breath, her hair tickling his neck. Their faces were both burning hot. The room was silent except for their shallow, rapid breathing and the faint sound of traffic from the street below. Inhaling the delicate fragrance from behind her ear, Cole was suddenly overwhelmed with a wave of tenderness. He gently wrapped his arms around her soft back. She was only 21, after all. He should be the one taking care of her. Yet she was the one who had always spoiled him. In his rebellious youth, he'd never fully appreciated her favoritism and indulgence. Or maybe they had been too close, lost in a fog of familiarity. Cole knew, with stark clarity, that he had never experienced a truly mutual, requited love. His life as a player didn't count, and his later cynical incarnation definitely didn't. That wasn't love. In his past life, the world was full of betrayals, breakups, divorces, and scams. Love was a battlefield littered with knives. Though he had achieved a certain detached wisdom, deep down, he couldn't fool himself. He had zero faith in so-called love. In fact, he was terrified of it. The pain was unspeakable. Why would he ever dive in head first, soul and all? Better to live a carefree life than chase something so ephemeral. He could give away all his material possessions, but his heart? He had to keep a third of it back, to always remain in control. In any relationship, one person had to be in charge, to know when to pull back and when to let go. Even if it meant sacrificing some of the intoxicating bliss of total immersion, it was the only way to make it last. His 4 secret weapons, a playful roguishness, a shameless audacity, a bit of heat, and a dash of cool distance. With a lubricance of love, a secret he would never share. He had to apply these rules even with Jasmine. It was the only way to preserve their bond, to keep it fresh. He had also learned that accumulating wealth was paramount. Wealth would grant him freedom, and a free man could make a relationship smoother. More importantly, wealth was the ultimate weapon to protect the ones he loved. Not that he thought Jasmine would ever look down on him, but money could shield them from the disasters life might throw their way. With that thought, he planted a few soft kisses on her earlobe. He would protect this woman. He would never let her suffer the fate she had in his past life. As if sensing his thoughts, Jasmine gently kissed his neck in return. "Sis, we should get up," Cole said. Knowing ice cream was off the menu for now, he ruthlessly flipped the switch, decisively ending the intimacy. Better to cut it off now than to suffer from unfulfilled longing later. Jasmine weakly pushed herself up. Her cheeks flushed a deep crimson. She shot him an angry glare. "Turn around. No peeking." Cole chuckled and turned his head, then immediately whipped it back around. He caught a glimpse of her straightening her dress and underwear. Discovering his peeking, Jasmine pounced on him in a flurry of mock-angry punches. "You little devil. You brought me here with bad intentions." When hitting wasn't enough, she buried her head in his shoulder and bit down. "Ow. Hey, that hurts." With nothing to hold on to this time, the pain felt twice as sharp. Jasmine released him, smoothed her dress one more time, and shot him another glare. She looped her arm through his, grabbed her things, and they left. Downstairs, the cool night air washed over them, slowly extinguishing the heat that had been building inside. "You're not to show off, you hear me? Don't try to act tough in front of girls. Don't get into petty fights with your classmates. And don't you dare look down on students from ordinary backgrounds just because you have some money. Stay humble. Got it?" Jasmine's slightly stern lecture filled his ears, but all Cole felt was a deep warmth. "I hear you, sis. Have you ever seen me not be humble?" "Yes, I know. I'm just worried." "Don't worry, sis. And the most important thing, do not get involved with girls who are all dolled up and carry designer bags. You must remember this. Can you do it?" "I can. And I will." Hearing Jasmine bring up her old rule, Cole promised solemnly. Then he added, "Sis, I'm entrusting you with all this business stuff. You're way more professional than I am. Leave it to me." The file folder was in her hands. With the power of attorney he'd signed, she could handle all the subsequent procedures. And I don't even have to pay her a salary, he thought. As a junior, she needed internship experience anyway. She might as well work for him. "Sis, maybe you could stop dancing jazz." It was her hobby, and he hadn't planned to say anything, but the thought of other guys watching her was eating at him. "I knew you couldn't hold it in," she said, giving his arm a light pinch. "I already quit the dance team. That showcase was my last performance. I'm learning lyrical dance now. Is that acceptable?" "That's very acceptable. Actually, jazz is acceptable too. You know, the kind that's only for my eyes. Ahem." Cole felt like such a hypocrite. A necessary hypocrisy. His mind drifted to visions of her in a private performance, maybe with some lace. "In your dreams. You." Jasmine stopped mid-sentence, her cheeks burning. After what just happened today, if they were alone and she danced for him, who knew what would happen? Hearing her trail off, Cole's lips curved into a grin. I think I can make that happen." He feigned a serious expression and changed the subject. "Won't the different dance styles conflict? Your muscle memory and all." "Oh, so you know about muscle memory?" Jasmine said, slightly surprised. "Of course. Don't underestimate me. It's fine. I'm starting from zero. A clean slate." "Sis, does that mean you can do the splits?" "Yes, I can." "Why? What are you thinking?" "Nothing." "Ow. Hey, that hurts." After walking Jasmine back to her dorm, Cole returned to Eastwood University. The moment he walked into his own room, he was met with Preston's dramatic monologue. "Frank, you snake. How could you be so treacherous? We may not share a bed, but we share a room. We made a pact of freedom, and now you've gone and fallen in love. What are your brothers supposed to think?" Frank just sat there, ignoring him, a goofy, dazed smile plastered on his face. Hiv. His eyes were unfocused, his mind clearly in another galaxy. Seeing his words had no effect, Preston redirected his tirade at the newly arrived Cole. "And you, Cole, it's bad enough you're dating a campus queen, but now you've infected Frank. Are you trying to tear this brotherhood apart?" "I hired 2 more people today," Cole said calmly, sitting down at his desk. "The new shop at Eastwood Tech is about to open." Preston instantly leaped off his bed and threw an arm around Cole's shoulders, his face a mask of concern. "Don't work yourself too hard, buddy. You need a rest. What do the new hires look like?" "Not bad. A couple of sophomores. One of them is seriously hot. Detailed. I'm tired. It's been a long day. You poor thing. Here, let me give you a shoulder rub. My legs are a little sore too. Relax. Here, I'll work on them. All right, since you insist, I'll give you the details. Cole stretched out his legs, preparing to enjoy the service and spin a tail. A shadow flickered, and suddenly Javi was there, having teleported to his other side. Cole, you must be exhausted. I'll take the right leg. Okay, listen closely, Cole began. The first one is 5'3", a 22-inch waist, and a 24-inch bust. Perfectly proportional. TCH. Lame. The massage services were immediately canceled. Preston and Javi retreated to their beds. Cole smirked. The new hires were actually quite cute, but these two slackers lacked sincerity. He wouldn't tell them. Let them regret it later. The fulfilling days passed quickly. With business matters off his hands and the shops well-staffed, Cole had time to attend his classes. After a few days of good behavior, his professor's opinions of him improved dramatically. He'd occasionally have a meal with Serena, take a walk with her, massage her feet and back, and soothe her academic stress. After a full 7 business days, everything was settled except for the new shop's food service license. He had officially converted his sole proprietorships into 2 corporations, Headline Today, LLC, and the Tea Alchemist Group, LLC. The new shop's license was filed as a branch location under the latter. Jasmine was far more efficient at handling these bureaucratic affairs than he was. With the equipment and supplies delivered, the Eastwood Tech branch of the Tea Alchemist officially opened its doors. There were no grand opening flower arrangements. The crowded food truck alley didn't allow for it. Megan led her 2 newly trained employees, and Cole was there to help out, mainly to gauge customer flow. If the order volume stayed high, he needed to hire 2 more people for rotating shifts. Jasmine came too, sitting with Cole at a nearby table while they ate. Seeing her little brother's new shop open for business felt surreal, filling her with a sense of satisfaction and pride. He wasn't even 19, yet he was running a business with surprising competence, managing a team of upperclassmen. She had promised Cole she wouldn't tell their families just yet. I should go check out the original shop sometime, she thought. A long line quickly formed. The Tea Alchemist already had a surprising number of fans at Eastwood Tech, and they were thrilled to find a branch in their own territory. Combined with the half-price grand opening special, many students grabbing lunch decided to add a drink to their order, sipping it while they waited for their food. Seeing Cole expertly handling orders behind the counter, Jasmine thought he looked more handsome than ever, radiating a unique, captivating energy. A warmth spread through her chest. Involuntarily, the scene from that night in his apartment flashed through her mind, and her face grew inexplicably hot. She quickly lifted the coffee Cole had brought her, using it to hide her expression. The crowd in front of the shop inevitably led to some jostling. A girl who had just gotten her drink turned around and bumped into a student coming the other way. She lost her grip, and her strawberry panna cotta frappe fell to the ground, splattering everywhere. The cup, with its press-on lid rather than a sealed film, burst open on impact. "Oh no, my frappe!" The girl cried out, heartbroken over the lost few dollars. But it was a pure accident. She couldn't blame the other person. A voice came from behind her. "Miss, we'll make you another one on the house." The girl turned to see the guy from behind the counter. She thought she'd misheard. "Are you talking to me?" "Yes. It's a bit crowded today. Our apologies." "The Tea Alchemist will take care of it," Cole said with a smile. "Really? Thank you so much." The girl's face instantly lit up. "You're welcome. We hope you'll come back often." The girl enthusiastically agreed, and the other students in line looked on with visibly increased approval. Cole asked Megan to remake the drink while he went to find a mop, so as not to slow down the workflow. Jasmine watched the entire exchange, her eyes sparkling, a smile fixed on her lips. For 3 days, the shop ran its promotion, going from half-price back to the regular menu. While the number of orders decreased slightly, the total revenue remained about the same. Megan and her team were exhausted, but compared to the $12 an hour wage at the competing milk tea shop across the way, their passion burned bright. Every Tea Alchemist employee had signed a wage confidentiality agreement. Cole could be generous, but he couldn't be foolish. With a new shop on solid footing, Cole posted another hiring notice. He needed 3 more people, 1 for the new shop and 2 for the original one. It increased his costs, but it was a necessary expense, an investment in the foundation for future growth. The extra staff allowed Megan to finally catch her breath. Between making morning bank deposits for the shop's account and getting change, she barely had a moment to spare, especially when someone was on their day off. As a bonus, Cole bought her a small e-scooter, a gesture that moved her so deeply she once again swore to bleed for him. With both shops stable, Cole could finally turn his attention back to the student venture lab. "Boss, take a look. Give us some feedback, Wyatt said, ushering Cole to his own chair. He had adjusted his attitude. No matter that Cole was a freshman, he was the one paying his handsome salary. The team of 4 had been working non-stop, grinding out the basic framework for Headline today. The next step was to spend time refining the learning capabilities of its information engine. The current interface was still a bit rough, but the various sections were laid out, albeit empty, waiting for content. You don't actually need to separate these sections, Cole said. Make them all tags in a single feed. Let the user choose what they want to see, and it scrolls for them. Wyatt asked, won't that look a little empty? A heavily made-up senior or a fresh-faced, no-makeup freshman? Which would you choose? Cole asked with a grin. The no-makeup freshman, obviously, Wyatt chuckled. Cole turned to Jenna. Jenna, say you have 2 choices. Ryan Reynolds, but he only has 1 giant ub. Or some other guy with an 8-pack, pecs, biceps, the whole deal. They both want to marry you. Who do you pick? Ryan Reynolds, duh. Jenna said without a second's hesitation. Users are the same, Cole explained. They'll mostly focus on what interests them, but they'll get aesthetic fatigue. Their eyes will get tired, and they'll get sick of it. A simple, clean interface is comfortable to look at. That's what people love. The team looked thoughtful. Though they still had doubts, they saw the logic in his point. Cole thought for a moment, then added, you can add a trending now list. Rank news and events by user popularity and put in the blank space on the right. And make it so that no matter how far the user scrolls down, that list stays fixed on the side. Got it. We'll get that implemented ASAP, Wyatt said. Cole nodded and opened the user profile page. As he'd requested, users could post their own articles, write about interesting things they discovered, and post questions and answers. There was also a video function, though the formats were restricted and the compression was heavy. Overall, it was close enough. The data analytics for the creator platform weren't done yet. Wyatt said they needed a bit more time. Okay, but don't burn yourselves out. Take a break, get some rest. Remember, your health is your most important asset. After showing his concern, Cole added a firm directive. But the direction I've set cannot change. All optimizations must be built on this foundation. Understood, boss. Wyatt, Jenna, Marcus, and Leo all nodded in unison. A strange curiosity lingered in their minds. Their freshman boss spoke and acted with a maturity that far exceeded their own. But they had no doubts about his capabilities. He had just opened another new shop. He clearly had the resources to support this venture. As for the future, they'd see what the future held. Satisfied, Cole left the lab. He had to go help out at the original shop. It was late October now, and a sudden cold front had moved in that afternoon. The wind was sharp, and his t-shirt was no longer enough. Lou, he said, catching her attention, come out with me at 2 o'clock. Okay, Luna replied, her eyes shining. It had been a while since they had gone anywhere together, just the 2 of them. They rode the e-scooter to a street lined with clothing and accessory shops. It was a strip of small boutiques that, in the era before e-commerce took over, was incredibly popular with students from the nearby universities. There were stores catering to every style and budget. Cole's eyes scanned the storefronts, and he quickly settled on a chic-looking place called the Dahlia Boutique. It was only then that Luna realized he was here to buy clothes for her. Her heart instantly filled with a mix of shyness and panic. A part of her wanted to refuse, but a deeper part yearned to do as he said. And besides, she was happy, just being with him like this. The shop owner, a woman in her early 30s, sized up Luna and immediately understood the situation. She didn't pay any mind to the cheap clothes Luna was wearing, approaching them with a warm smile. Cole was pleased. He had already decided that if the owner gave them a funny look, he would walk out and go to the shop next door. The boutique was filled with a variety of styles, playful, elegant, fall, and winter collections. What girl doesn't love clothes? Luna's eyes were immediately drawn to the more elegant pieces. But then she saw the price tag, over $300. Horrified, she tugged on Cole's arm, trying to pull him away. Cole quickly grabbed her, nearly stumbling. This is the place. Let's go somewhere else, Luna pleaded in a tiny voice. The street stalls are fine. This is too expensive. Trust me. We're staying here, Cole said, gently patting her head. You're my future CFO. Think of these as your work uniform. The more she balked at the price, the more determined he was to buy them for her. Good. Pure-hearted girls were the best. Not like the gold diggers from his past life who would drag a date to a store just to fleece them. Luna's face flushed, her expression a mess of conflict. She wanted to wear clothes he bought for her, but they were so expensive. It just wasn't right. Seeing her turmoil, Cole knew exactly what she was thinking. He put an arm around her shoulders. Just listen to me. Come on, try on whatever you like. Luna fidgeted, her eyes sparkling with a desire to try things on, but she still felt it was wrong. Cole gave the shop owner a subtle nod. The smiling owner, who had been waiting for this moment, seized her chance. She walked over, took Luna's arm, and deployed her ultimate weapon. "It's okay, honey. You can try it on, and if it doesn't suit you, you don't have to buy it. Come on, let me help you put an outfit together." Hearing, "You don't have to buy it," Luna relaxed slightly. She glanced at Cole, who met her gaze with an encouraging look. She mustered her courage and went with the owner to look at the clothes. "Okay, just to try," she told herself. Cole didn't just stand there. He followed along, pretending to be an expert, pointing out things he liked. He didn't want her to feel the pressure of browsing alone. With Cole by her side, Luna felt more at ease, and her voice became more relaxed. The owner first picked out a dark gray skirt and paired it with a beige overcoat. Luna couldn't help but peek at the tags again. The skirt was $189, the coat $299. A rush of blood went to her head. "I'm sorry, I'm not going to try them. I really can't. Almost $500 for 2 items." It was more than she could handle. It was just too much. She started to walk away. Cole grabbed her again. "You get what you pay for," he said seriously. "These will last you 10 years. Seeing her wavering, he pressed on. "I told you, you're going to be in charge of the finances. You'll be representing the company. You have to dress the part." It wasn't just a line. He meant it. He needed to build up Luna's confidence. A CFO was no small role. She had to command authority. He wasn't planning on using her as a simple accountant. When other departments came to her for expense reports and account reconciliations, they couldn't be allowed to look down on her. In the future, she'd even be handling financial planning and strategy, a position second only to the CEO. Given her background, building her confidence had to start now. This was never just about buying clothes. If it were, he would have just given her the money. This was about making sure she wore the right clothes. Seeing the pleading in Luna's eyes, Cole wrapped an arm around her shoulders and pulled her back. "You're not going to listen to me." "I'll listen," she replied without hesitation, her eyelashes fluttering as she looked at him, then down at her own fingers. "Good. Now go try on clothes. And you have to buy them. No objections allowed." He led her back to the rack and gestured to the owner. The owner watched them with fascination. In all her years, she couldn't quite figure out their relationship. They weren't quite a couple, yet they were far too intimate to be just friends. With Cole's firm insistence that this was a professional necessity, Luna's heart settled a bit. He must have his reasons, she thought, and relaxed. She took the outfit into the dressing room. "Hold on, let me check it first," Cole said, stepping into the small room and giving a quick inspection. The owner's expression was odd, but she said nothing. This handsome young man was certainly cautious. Luna waited obediently, unsure what he was doing. Only after confirming the dressing room was safe from prying eyes did Cole let her go in. The countless horror story videos he'd seen in his past life had made him paranoid. Luna took the clothes into the dressing room and closed the door. She looked at her reflection in the mirror, her lips pressed tightly together, her eyes filled with a struggling emotion. After a long hesitation, she let out a soft breath and undid the cloth strips that bound her chest. She couldn't bear to look at what was revealed. She felt so ashamed. Her upbringing had taught her that being so large was improper, immoral, shameful. It was a huge mental burden she'd carried for years. But that person was always sneaking glances at other girls. It made her